Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the news briefing for this Wednesday. Our first topic is COVID-19 information. So with us, we have Dr. Moreno from the County of Monterey Health Department. If you have questions for Dr. Moreno, please go ahead and put them in chat now so that we can get those to him and start the conversation. Good afternoon, Dr. Moreno.
Good afternoon, Mia.
So we're just waiting to see if we've got some questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here is our first question for you today, Dr. Moreno. Over the weekend, the California Department of Public Health issued a health advisory concerning early respiratory RSV. Sorry, I'm not a doctor. I can't say it correctly. And seasonal influenza activity, saying that an early wave of RSV and other respiratory viruses has led to increased hospitalizations among children. Is the Monterey County Department of Public Health seeing an increase in cases and hospitalizations in children in the county?
Thank you for the question. So we don't, that's not a reportable disease, so we don't have case numbers. What I can tell you is though, with regards to COVID, it looks like we are seeing what looks like the beginning of an increase in positivity rates for COVID-19. And as we enter winter, we keep in mind that the prior two winters during this pandemic, we have seen an increase in transmission of COVID-19. So it's really important for people to get their vaccines and stay up to date. And anyone that's due for a booster, again, encourage them to get boosted, especially now before what may be another increase in cases this winter.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. Another question for you. People have been urged to get vaccinations for COVID-19 and flu before the holidays. How long does it take for both those vaccinations to take full effect?
Yeah, so I think it's whether we're heading into holidays or not, I think the recommendation is the same, is to get your vaccine as soon as you're up to date. The sooner you get your vaccine, the sooner the immunity and the benefit of the vaccine will take effect.
Thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Moreno today? You know, I thought I might ask you, I know you give advice every week on the best way to stay safe and healthy as we head to the holidays. People will be getting together as they're likely to do. And I was hoping you might just reinforce the best advice for when you're getting together in groups for the holiday to stay healthy and safe.
Sure, man. So for folks in general, whether you're meeting or with others or just going into public spaces indoors, particularly, it's still really important to make sure you're up to date on your COVID vaccine. The COVID vaccine still has been shown to decrease an individual's risk for serious infection and for hospitalizations. So, and that holds true so far, still holds true regardless of which variant a person might be exposed to. And other than that, stay home when you're sick, cover your cough so you don't spread COVID to other folks in your family or in the community. Seek testing if you think you have COVID. If you're concerned about your illness, talk to a healthcare provider and wash your hands frequently.
Thank you. And another question for you, Dr. Moreno. What does Monterey County Public Health recommend for parents, schools, and daycare facilities to do to mitigate the spread of RSV and flu among children?
So RSV and flu are just a couple of the many viruses that can cause respiratory illness, which includes COVID-19. So regardless of whether it's COVID-19 or another respiratory illness, I think a parent of a student or a parent of a child in a daycare setting should contact the daycare provider or contact the school to find out more about what precautions the schools or the daycare providers are taking.
Thank you. Next question, Dr. Moreno. The first report in California of a child's death from the flu and RSV was reported recently. What are your thoughts about that possibility? And I'm assuming you mean the possibility of it happening in Monterey County or among, people that we might know.
Yeah. So again, there are several viruses that can cause respiratory illness, and that includes COVID-19 and flu and RSV, among others. So regardless of the circulating viral respiratory or the circulating virus that causes respiratory illness, the recommendations are the same, which is to get vaccinated if there's a vaccine available. And again, keep your kid home if they're sick, stay home yourself if you're sick so you don't spread it to other people, but and wash your hands frequently. But most importantly, get vaccinated if the vaccine is available.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. And another question for you. Have COVID cases increased dramatically in the county recently? And the questioner is also saying how many cases up to now. And I think we can I was going to refer to the website for current case information.
Right. So we're looking at the numbers, and it looks like we may be seeing the beginning of an increase in positivity rates here in Monterey County. And so we'll have to follow that over time. But if that's the case, then again, it's really important for everyone to take measures to reduce transmission within your household or in the work site or at schools. And that's really what we've been encouraging people to do during this entire pandemic. And above all, get vaccinated and stay up to date. So reduce your likelihood of getting seriously ill from COVID-19.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. Any other questions for Dr. Moreno today? I am seeing none. Thank you very much, as always, Dr. Moreno, for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Our next topic is COVID-19, but funeral assistance. Now, many of you may be aware that a national funeral assistance program was developed during the pandemic to assist those who lost loved ones to COVID-19. But the national program had some limitations, and the County of Monterey is launching its own program to help people who were not eligible for the national program. And we're very pleased to have Daniel Gonzalez. He's with our Office of Emergency Services to talk about this expansion of funeral assistance. And we're also very pleased that he is going to tell us about the program both in English and in Spanish. And so you can find this information you can hear it in whatever is most comfortable for you. Good afternoon, Daniel.
Good afternoon, Maya. Thank you for having me, and good afternoon, everybody. Like Maya indicated, I'm here to talk to you guys about the Monterey County Funeral and Burial Assistance Program. And as she indicated, this is a response to be able to serve all of the residents in our area that are not qualified under the FEMA program, because as Maya indicated, FEMA has a program that provides assistance for this population. To begin, first of all, I would like to give my most deepest condolences to all of the residents that have lost loved ones and family members throughout these 2 years and plus counting of the pandemic. This is something we recognize as a hardship for all of our families in our county, especially those that were hit the hardest. So this program is a response to that. Secondly, I would like to thank the Board of Supervisors for approving this program, and especially Luis Alejo and Supervisor Chris Lopez, who indicated or suggested that this program be implemented. So, thank you to them and all of the Board of Supervisors for making these resources available for our community. And as indicated, this program is meant to cover funeral expenses that were incurred for a death that was COVID-19 related. This is for any resident that incurred any expense related to funeral and burial expenses. So when I say any resident, I mean under the federal, there's a requirement for citizenship or immigration status. Under the Monterey County program, that is one of the areas that was changed, that was not required to be able to qualify. So any person that paid for expenses for a funeral or burial can apply for this. there is a requirement that they need to show documentation, receipts, death certificates. They need to prove that the person who died was a resident of the county and they themselves are residents of Monterey County. So that is partially the requirement that they're going to be having to meet. Now, the process in which they're going to be calling us. We've been doing some outreach in the community, providing the information. We were just recently at a radio show with Radio Bilingüe, providing the information of the contact, where can people reach out, the number they can call. Also, information is available on our website. They can easily Google Monterey County Funeral and Burial Assistance Program, and that should give them a link to our website and the information that they need to provide. So we're really excited. We started this Monday receiving calls and receiving information to start the process of recovery, if you will. The maximum amount that people will be able to apply for is going to be $9,000 per decedent. So that is similar or equal as the amount that the FEMA project was also covering. So we're gonna be providing that. The only difference between the FEMA program and ours is that our resources are somewhat limited. So we are definitely encouraging families and residents who had these expenses to apply as soon as possible, so that we are able to help them. I am going to switch now to. Are there any questions for our English-speaking media?
Why don't we go ahead and we'll take all the questions at one time when we get them. Go ahead and continue in Spanish.
Okay. Yes. Ahora, buenos días a todos. Perdón, buenas tardes. Ahora voy a hacer la presentación en español. Y como lo comentó Maya al inicio de la presentación, este programa de asistencia funeraria y de entierro es una respuesta del Condado de Monterrey para proveer este servicio a todas las personas que no son elegibles para recibir asistencia funeraria bajo el programa de FEMA. Básicamente, es un programa que está diseñado para apoyar a las familias de bajos ingresos o a los residentes de bajos ingresos que han incurrido en este tipo de gastos. Lo estamos haciendo a través de llamadas telefónicas, a través de nuestro sitio de internet, donde la comunidad puede informarse. Hemos estado haciendo eventos informativos en la radio a través de los diferentes medios que hay disponibles. Entonces estamos tratando de que este programa llegue a la mayoría de la comunidad para que puedan aplicar. El proceso es básicamente nos llaman. Bueno, un requisito también que no mencioné al principio es no deben ser elegibles para el programa de FEMA. Si son elegibles para el programa de FEMA porque tienen la ciudadanía o el estatus migratorio, pueden aplicar a través de FEMA, pero el programa de Monterrey está diseñado para proveer la asistencia a las personas de bajos ingresos que no califiquen bajo el programa de FEMA. Entonces, debido a la cuestión o al requisito de estatus migratorio. El proceso es sencillo, nos pueden llamar, lo pueden hacer a través de la página de internet, lo pueden hacer una búsqueda buscando el programa de asistencia funeraria del Condado de Monterrey, y esa búsqueda los debe llevar a un enlace en la página de internet que les va a dar acceso a nuestra página, y ahí les dice la información que pueden proporcionar. Van a necesitar documentos, certificado de defunción. La muerte de la persona o del familiar tiene que ser relacionada a COVID-19. Tienen que presentar documentación que acredite que residen en el condado, o que son y que la persona que falleció reside en el Condado de Monterrey, y que la persona que está aplicando por los fondos también reside en el Condado de Monterrey. Los gastos son varios. Entonces, una vez presentando toda esa información, nosotros vamos a mover la aplicación hacia adelante y les vamos a proporcionar toda la asistencia que ellos necesitan paso a paso a lo largo del proceso de aplicación. También me gustaría mencionar que esto lo estamos haciendo con Ventures. Es una organización que trabaja en el Condado de Santa Cruz Anteriormente se le conocía como Santa Cruz Community Ventures. Es una organización que está trabajando con nosotros para ayudarnos en la distribución de los fondos. I'm going to switch back to English because I forgot to mention this during my English portion. We're doing this work with the help of Ventures. This is an organization from Santa Cruz County. It used to be known as Santa Cruz Community Ventures, and they are the organization, a nonprofit organization that is assisting the county with the distribution of the funds. So I wanted to just give them a shout out. So because of the help is definitely required. And of course, you know, you can apply in English or in Spanish. We have those abilities. Tenemos la oportunidad de aplicar en inglés y en español. Lo más importante es llamar al número telefónico. Les voy a pasar el número al que pueden llamar para que puedan acceder a este servicio. Es el 831-356-3137. Nueva cuenta, voy a repetir el número. 831-356-3137. It is, as I mentioned earlier, it is very important that people can actually apply both in English and in Spanish. And I'm going to provide you with the phone number where they can call to start the process. The number where they can reach out, if you know anybody that can benefit from this service, the number is 831-356-3137. I'm going to repeat the number, 831-356-3137. That is a number where they can call and we can help them start the process of applying. And I think as of this time, this is the bulk of our presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'm open to them. In English and in Spanish, whichever.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for going through that and walking people through the application process, knowing that they can apply in whichever language is most comfortable for them. I put the link to the website in the chat, and I was going to see if I could show the website. This is the number that I'm hoping that you can see it. This is the number that Daniel was mentioning, and there it is in both English and Spanish. And this is on your Office of Emergency website. They can just Google funeral assistance. The link is a little bit long.
Yes.
To do, but this way you can see, and the program is underway. The phone lines, it's open 8 to in the mornings, though. They do need to note that it's best to call in the mornings, correct?
That is correct. They can call at any time, but the best time to call would be in the morning. As you know, we are tasked with different work tasks, and so we found this time to be the best time but residents can call at any time, and they can leave a message if we're unavailable, but then we can follow up with them after we receive the message. You know, in terms of the Google search, it's really simple. People could just Google Monterey County Funeral Assistance without having to put Monterey County Office of Emergency Services in there. Just Funeral Assistance Program. That should be able to get them to that portal, to the link that will take them to our portal.
And something that people may want to know, it's possible that people who lost a loved one lost this loved one not recently. It could have been over a year ago. The people who may have lost loved ones in 2020 or 2021, they are still eligible for this assistance, right?
That is correct. So that we are doing this program retroactively to January 20th of 2020. So if you lost a loved one, and I'll repeat this in Spanish right now, because thank you for bringing that up, Maya. That's a really important piece of information. I'll repeat this in Spanish. So if you had a relative or a friend that, died from January 20th, 2020 to date, those expenses are covered. Okay. So I'm gonna translate this to Spanish, or interpret this to Spanish right now. I'm gonna switch to Spanish. Para todas las personas que, como mencionaba Maya hace unos momentos, este programa va a ser aplicado retroactivamente para personas que hayan incurrido gastos por fallecimiento de algún familiar o amigo a partir del 20 de enero del 2020. Del 20 de enero del 2020 a la fecha se puede aplicar retroactivamente todos estos gastos. Entonces, no necesariamente tiene que haber fallecido la persona en estas fechas, puede ser hasta el 20 de enero del 2020. Si la persona falleció por causas de COVID-19 después de esa fecha, está cubierto hasta el día de hoy y mientras dure el programa de asistencia funeraria del condado.
Daniel, thank you very much for walking us through the program in both English and in Spanish. I know there are a lot of people who may be nervous about applying for this because there were limitations in the national program, and thanks for making people feel more comfortable and knowing that this is accessible to them.
Definitely. That's something that we're trying to really push forward with our community. That's why we're trying to do as much outreach as possible to get the word out so people can definitely take benefit from this program.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for being on the news briefing today.
Thank you.
And our next topic, a little bit about homelessness and hunger, things that don't often, you think of the holidays and you don't often think of that, but you think about wanting to reach out and help people. The County of Monterey has a very aggressive homeless reduction plan, but it takes many partners to address homelessness and hunger in our community. And if you're wondering how you can help, I have just the person who knows about this, Roxanne Wilson, who is our Monterey County Homeless Services Director, and she's here to tell us how we can all help. We're marking Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week this week, so this is a great time to talk about how everyone can be part of the solution. Hi, Roxanne.
Hi, hello, how are you doing this morning or afternoon? It's afternoon now.
Good.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. In the spirit of thankfulness and giving, the National Coalition for the Homeless, a national student campaign against hunger and homelessness, designated November 12th through the 20th as National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. As such, I'd like to take the opportunity to raise awareness of what homelessness looks like in Monterey County. Homelessness is a complex societal issue that has plagued our communities for many decades. While resources are pouring in from the federal and state government, the numbers are so great that it will take time and continued growth in collaborations and effective data-driven decisions before we see visual implications of success. Even though our numbers in Monterey County have been on a downward trend consistently for the past 2 counts, we still have so much further to go. Our last count revealed 2,047 people are experiencing homelessness on any given night. You can see how our count is starting to be more in line with our coastal neighbors of Santa Cruz and San Luis Obispo counties. The county has been working with several partners, including the city of Salinas, to increase our shelter bed capacity. Ultimately, we have increased our inventory by 110% since 2017. The face of homeless housing intervention is changing. At one time, almost our entire homelessness response system was composed of emergency shelter and transitional housing beds. However, through critical analysis, many of our transitional housing beds have started transitioning to permanent supportive housing beds. This is because permanent supportive housing, or PSH, is specifically designed to help the most vulnerable people. While transitional housing requires consumers to stabilize themselves in 18 to 24 months, the reality is most people require much longer than that. So while transitional housing is still a much needed housing intervention, the community found that we needed to diversify our housing portfolio to address the varying needs of our homeless population. The biggest change in housing interventions happened in permanent supportive housing. Since 2017, there has been a 939% increase in permanent supportive housing beds. These new PSH beds only serve people who are chronically homeless, meaning they have lived in places not meant for human habitation for extensive periods of time and have at least one disabling condition, to include mental health or substance use disorder. Another huge change is that rapid rehousing funds have been added to many emergency shelters and navigation centers. This funding provides financial assistance to consumers who identified housing and need deposit assistance or short-term subsidies to get them on their feet. And as you can see, there is a clear connection between increasing services and decreasing homelessness. If we stay on trend, we are very much on our way to decreasing homelessness by 50% by 2025. And the good news is there are many projects in the pipeline. There are 236 more permanent supportive housing beds and about a dozen transitional housing beds on its way. We are also very excited to see services reaching our South County unsheltered population. And while there is too much to review today, there are quite a few incredibly impactful initiatives that have recently happened or are currently in process. Most notable was the partnerships that went into the creation and adoption of the Lead Me Home 5-year plan to reduce homelessness. This regional plan was spearheaded by the Continuum of Care, which our very own Supervisor Luis Alejo has chaired for several years. In the first year, so much work has been completed, and you can see a detailed list of that on the COC's website, which is hosted by the Coalition of Homeless Services Providers at chsp.org. The County of Monterey and agency partners encourage everyone in our community to learn more and consider what they can do to support agencies and nonprofits. There are many ways to support this work through volunteering, advocacy, or donation. Here is a partial list of 501c3 nonprofit organizations that are working together to end homelessness and hunger in Monterey County. Thank you so much.
And thanks very much, Roxanne, for showing us the list, because I think people think this is, we're a little bit alone in trying to resolve these issues, but there really are a lot of agencies, a lot of hardworking organizations throwing everything they have, at this issue.
And it wasn't until, honestly, the pandemic where we saw a huge effort of collaboration and leveraging resources and really trying to understand what we have in our community and how can we be more effective at implementing the services and also executing the funding distribution. So bravo to the entire service provider network and all of the stakeholders, including the city jurisdictions, the leadership council, and all of the nonprofits that have been working on this. I've been in the industry for over a decade now, and I have never seen anything like we are experiencing today.
I want to throw this question at you, Roxanne, and so hopefully you don't mind a curveball, but a few weeks ago, we were concerned about the loss of some funding for these services. And we talk about the homelessness goes down when services go up. Are we feeling more positive that the state funding may come our way?
So for the funding that was put on hold, the $1 billion of homeless housing assistance and prevention program, also known as HHAP, it was round 3 that was put on hold. We just received notice from the governor's office that he is going to release the funds for round 3. He is asking communities, all communities across the state, to be more aggressive in our goals and to also implement a list of best practices. Our community has already checked off so many of those boxes. So I'm very confident that we will see the funding start rolling in again.
So that is some really good news today. And I'm hoping that's because Monterey County has an aggressive plan, perhaps one of the most aggressive plans of a county that its size, or maybe even larger counties.
That is correct. When we were putting together the plan, we wanted to make sure that it was aggressive and it was ambitious, but it was achievable with the right attitude and the right resources. And we went just slightly above what was comfortable to give us, something to pursue, something to be proud of at the end. And after the first year, we saw a decrease of 15%. So as I said, we're well on our way to hitting our goals of 50%. The plan that was submitted to the governor, it was of a different time frame. And we had said that we would reduce homelessness by 25% because of that time frame. But the numbers were in alignment with our 5-year plan. When we saw the list of all of the plans that were submitted to the state, Monterey County was the second most aggressive from all of the counties, the large cities, and the continuums of care. So we're very proud of the work that we submitted, and we stand by the governor in his push for communities to take this more seriously and be more aggressive in ending homelessness in California.
Thank you very much, Roxanne. And thanks for giving us a news tip today that we have some good news coming our way for that funding.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us on the briefing for this week. Our next briefing is next week. We'll see you then.